Good afternoon, everyone. Very warm welcome to all of you for today's masterclass. Thank you so much for joining. Request you to please stay tuned. We will start our meeting in just 2 minutes. Before we start our session, this session is all about leading people in the current times. So would request all the participants, whatever questions, queries you have, please post it in the chat window. You can post your question during the session as well. And whenever a speaker is presenting, if you have any particular question, please feel free to put in the chat box. We will try to cover all the questions towards the end during Q&A session. So it's 3 o'clock and we are all set to begin with today's masterclass. Once again, a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for being with us here today. HR Association of India, along with Great Manager Institute of India, welcomes you all to the 2021 Dialogue Masterclass series on the topic Leading People in the Current Times. Great Manager Institute conduct a Great People Manager survey in India, and our speaker for today has also been associated with Great Manager Institute for the survey process. This recognition is powered by Forbes India and Great Manager Institute. So in this masterclass series, we ensure that there is a non-stop knowledge sharing and insights where our speaker will be sharing his success stories, mantras, hits and misses, and achievements over leading his team in the current times. To know more about HR Association of India and Great Manager Institute, I would request all of you to please visit the link and details which is posted in the chat window. Please also follow the webinar guidelines, which is mentioned in the chat window. Thank you so much, everyone, for your cooperation. It's now my privilege to welcome our esteemed speaker for today, Mr. Shrikant, Engineering Manager at Eaton India Innovation Center. Mr. Shrikant has overall 16 years of experience in product design and development and currently working with Eaton as engineering manager, which is a mid-senior leadership role in the areas of aerospace duct and joints. He joined Eaton in 2007 as a product design engineer in Eaton's Innovation Center at Pune. He has taken up several roles of increasing responsibilities like a mechanical lead, global project engineer, people manager, manager of managers, and was instrumental to build product capabilities, high-performing teams, and has successfully launched products. Previous to his current organization, he has worked with Mahindra and Mahindra and Tata Auto Plastic Limited. He holds a master's degree in mechanical engineering and certified Dell Carnegie Train the Trainer. He has Lean Six Sigma Black Belt certification from ASQ and EQI, passionate about continuous improvement and actively contributes to various CI deployment initiatives. Shrikant is an adventure enthusiast as well. He has completed half iron distance triathlon and open water swim-a-thon for 5 kilometers and ultra marathons for 50 kilometers, and recently completed 100 kilometers Oxfam trail walk with family to raise charity and got featured in Times of India and Indian Express News. Shrikant has taken non-profit social initiative to conduct communication skills workshop for students and covered 5K students and aspiring to impact 1 million students in coming time. You can also follow him on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. Congratulations, Mr. Shrikant, for all your achievement and for such an inspirational journey. Especially, it is so inspiring to see your achievements for your adventure and your fitness journey. I know, like, it is not that easy to achieve all of this. So, thank you so much for being with us here today. Looking forward to learn a lot of things from you today. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Nihali and the HRAI team for all the kind words and arranging this important platform to enable all of us to sail through this difficult time. So I think we will start seeing the slide deck, which I wish to share. Before I begin, just a quick audio check. Am I audible? And can you see the screen? Maybe people can type in the chat. So at
Yes,
least
you are
we see the
audible and
energy
we can
also.
see the screen. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So we'll get going. So it's privilege for me to be here and be in this conversation because if you look at this platform, will enable all of us to really sail through this interesting time. I may not use word difficult or unprecedented because this is an interesting time for all of us. And I think conversations like this, the dialogue arranged by HREI, Great Manager Institute, I think will fuel our collective journey towards that. So I'm pretty excited with this opportunity and looking forward for next 40-45 minutes to really bring some perspectives where together we will elevate our understanding and build forward. So next slide, please. So when I heard first from Nihali and the HRAI team and the GMI members that there is a series like masterclass and the topic is the dialogue, and that struck me, saying that dialogue is a conversation between people. And if you ask me, one of my uh, preferred way is a conversational leadership, and that is something gave me a spark, and I said, okay, what is that? Tell me more about it. And that's how the dialogue we all relate, that it is between people. And when we have this kind of series of dialogues, it will really help all of us maybe lead ourselves, lead our teams, and together elevate whatever challenges we are facing and really jump beyond that is how I see this dialogue. And I'll tell you, over a period of time, I also started nurturing some of the conversations. And you will see those conversations in today's slide content. Maybe those conversations could be between a mentor and a mentee. Because as a people manager or as a leader, what we do is we coach, we develop, and we inspire our talent to really unfold their potential and really aspire what they want to achieve. So, in that, you'll see some of the structures like either between mentor or mentee. And I see talent development is not exactly but analogous to the parenting also. And I'm a proud parent of a daughter. So you'll see some of the examples which will come as a father and daughter conversations, but you'll see a little flavor about how it really resonates with our life and day to day. You'll find it interesting. The third structure of the conversation or the dialogue, which happens with maybe your better half. So some I'll bring some insights. Uh, those are not like aap biti. Some I have created little bit so that it helps me to put those points forward and get some meaning out of it and really solve those issues in a lot more conducive manner. So you'll see one series where I refer some of the favorite Bollywood characters like Anjali and Rahul, kind of an husband and wife series. So you'll see those kind of conversations coming in your way. and you'll see how those will relate to the current time which we all are going through. So that's how we are going to do. Next slide, please. Yeah. So before I talk more about as a people manager or a person who loves to be with people, let me first tell you how it started with me. That and it has a very interesting start also. See, as a part of leadership meeting, we were talking about uh, probably there will be a lockdown and how we will start operating. And we all understood that operating virtually is a mode and will be working from home. I was pretty excited. And immediately I shared it to my daughter. And you won't believe it. She was so excited and she hugged me and saying that, wow. And I was also very happy because being a mechanical engineer involved with plants, machineries, see, working from home was also a kind of aspiration which was coming to reality. It was kind of a dream was coming to reality. So I was also super excited. So next day we started all our journey. Like I started my normal work from home, and on the same day around dinner time, I saw my daughter little down, and she said that okay, hey, I didn't like your work from home. I said okay, what happened, beta? So her first experience was very interesting. She said that okay, daddy is at home, and I felt that we are going to play and we are going to have fun throughout the day. But I am observing you from the morning till evening. You are talking to a laptop and you are having that interactions. Now that was a very interesting insights. I'm sure many of you can resonate that maybe the expectation what your family, the expectation what you may have about your work from home, or as you sail through this interesting time, you may have some notion and you might be experiencing something different. So something similar happened with me also. And we all were learning and selling through that. And that's how the interesting start happened with me. And we all learned through and selling through this pandemic time. Many reflections people shared. Even I also shared some of my reflections about how I felt that a discipline versus a dilemma of flexibility. Because in office we used to get little a pull factor where we all are into a setup where we are tuned to that, and I think that gives us a natural way of carrying ourselves and getting things done. But when imagine you are at a home, and I know some of you might have experimented lying onto sofa and still working, and a different mode of setup. So there were different things which were coming to my mind also. So something I shared. Now I'll build on to the next slide, please. Now, why this dialogue is critical? And if you look at the current time is as good as the time which we all are going through the pandemic. And maybe my nature is that first try to understand what those words and the fundamental meanings are. So probably I guessed it when I first heard that pandemic, epidemic, or all those words. I guessed it okay could be having a Greek origin. And when I try to understand that word, it is about all. And who are those all? Are people. So if you look at who are going to get impacted most are the people. So the conversation should be also structured about whom? People. And that's how this topic also resonates well in the current time as we are going through. So you'll see that most of the next upcoming content is primarily focused on the people. And as a maybe a people manager or a leader of certain portfolio, how we really take care of our people and they take care of the business. So I think that's how you'll be able to see some of the conversation as part of this overall presentation. Next slide, please. As a part of crisis management, and as well as having an affinity towards aerospace domain, I'll take this analogy. See, whenever some critical crisis happens in airplane, and if you're on a flight and you see that you get an instructions that put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. See, it is not to prove the point that you are caring about yourself. It is about accepting that if you are in a better state, you'll be able to help more. You'll be able to take care of the other people. So I see the similar analogy as we are going through this interesting time of pandemic. Are you as an individual, are you as a leader taking care of yourself? Because imagine in that flight experience, if you run out of the oxygen yourself, you can't help anyone, neither you will help yourself. I know we all are familiar with the mask, but if you look at in this situation, this is a very important aspect. And simply put, if you die, you can't help anyone. Now, let me pull you back from that flight journey to this conversation setup. So, as you are sailing through, you need to take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. So, now for that, how are you really getting present to the situations what you are dealing with? How are you developing yourself to make yourself aware and understand what can be done better? So that is the point which I want to put forth so that we all will appreciate the importance of this analogy and the situation what we all are dealing in. Before I move to the next slide, I know many of you might be knowing this, and if some of you are not practicing that, I think it is the right time to begin now. You can take better care of yourself so that you can take further better support and care for the others. But at the same time, I want to leave you with a question. Are you taking care of yourself so that you can take care of others? Next slide, please. Now, as we all were sailing through this interesting time around a pandemic, I restarted my uh, interest towards sketching. So this is one doodle, a little weird, but some things I try to clarify and communicate visually. And this is a snapshot because if you look at your mind is very well wired that you will start expecting certain things the way you are used to see it. But around pandemic, things have changed drastically. I know if I take the example of schools, example of the way you used to get together and celebrate, maybe some special moments, maybe some critical moments of your lifetime, like some of the examples which I have tried to visualize here. The time which you used to enjoy outside, and now you started experiencing a lockdown. One interesting aspect, maybe many of you have thought about it when you started operating remotely, that you will have a more time for the family. But same time, you started appreciating that even the support system which you have is also getting impacted. So though you may have a more time, but in certain situations, it was like a more work also for you to take care of yourself and your family. The point which I want to jump uh, and take from this slide is get present and be aware of how situations are changing. If situations are changing, does our mind is better equipped to understand those change so that that aware mind can do wonders. Like if you know that wired mind and you need to change from wired to a wireless, that also makes you additional functionalities and start thinking, because this change is not only for a brain, not only for thinking, it has impacted widely onto our emotions also. And emotions may not be about only the relations between your family. Imagine the situations what we all went through, the first wave, second wave, or the different turbulence what you all went through. So let's get aware about that and jump into the next slide, please. Now we started on a very positive note. Certainly we'll continue with a positive note, but you will see that all the ups and downs in your life. So I run a small poll in between as we were selling through this pandemic time, just to understand and get a pulse, because I was hearing a mixed emotions from the people, and that it was like one of my colleagues said that blessing turning into curse, and my obvious question was what has happened. He said that work from home is turning out to be a 24 by 7. Now, being empathetic, being listening, I was trying to understand more, and that conversation continued. And both of us discussed about what you can do so that you can bring discipline for yourself. Maybe pack your laptop, and immediate reaction was a big laughter from my mentee, and he said that, "Isn't it funny?" I said, "At least let us try for couple of days. Maybe we'll understand what changes we need to bring in, and at least we'll have something better than the previous version." And that's how he started experimenting. And I remember in a couple of weeks, he said that at least I'm aware as I start the day, how I want to plan my day, and when I want to really put a hard stop, and I'm seeing a little better. So he was coming back from curse back to the blessing. And you'll see that 50% of the people voted to that poll as somewhat, and that somewhat also matters and says something. That somewhat satisfied may turn either ways on the other or on the below. So most of the people were experimenting and learning what they are going through, and that's where let's go to the next slide. As we all were going through, I was also learning and adopting different frameworks shared by Grid Manager Institute, and one of the framework is CDI, personalized CDI framework: connect, develop, and inspire. So there are the different elements, and as I was trying to see what things are changing, how our mind is wired, what changes needs to be done, and if I take a little disconnected view as a leader of a portfolio, as a person who is a people manager, what I can offer. And that's where you will see the next couple of slides, which really revolve around some of the intents which are changing, some of the intents which we want to enable the change so that we better take care of it. And some of my mantras, or maybe you can say that experiments, and somewhat those turned true. So I felt confident to share in today's discussion. So the next slide. Now, first important element as part of the connect piece, you would have seen that the mode is changing, right? And the way you connect with your team members or the way team members are connecting to you is also changing. Earlier used to feel three-dimensional, four-dimensional views where you used to get a touch and feel and used to feel that person next to you. But because of various reasons, now that connect has limited through the audio. Now, traditionally also, I believe, traditionally also, I believe that when you want to connect with the other person, uh, we may not be better at listening. So the first element which I decided to revamp my own understanding, style piece, and the actions is on the listening. And that listening is also in a way that how well I understand what is said, same time what is not said. Because all the team members or all the people with whom I'm working directly are also going through the difficult phase of the life. So some they may voice it, some they may not. Some I may listen it, some I may not. So how I can become better at it and build something in that area. So another poll just to get a pulse, because many of the times whenever I talk about listening, people prefer to argue, saying that hey, I'm good at it, Shrikant, and what is so great about it? But the poll which I run, and I got a pretty good response for that also. And the question is, if you are able to listen, the litmus test I have to offer to you, if you are listening, how much you are able to reproduce, so that you give me the confidence that you really listen. Otherwise, you might have just heard. And when I ask that question, how much percentage? 5%, 10%, 20%, or beyond? And you will see that 93% said less than 20%. See, this is not a point to prove any hypothesis, but it is a point to give us a greater sense that traditionally it was a challenge. So imagine if you go with a virtual mode, this also creates more challenges. Because if you see on an audio call, you see other person is silent. You may go to your default context. Okay, maybe person is disconnected, but he might be handling something else. Now that kind of default context drives your conscious or unconscious mind, and you start driving either emotions or actions. So the important aspect, as we all need to become better at listening, do that litmus test, see where you are, and more important is the demonstration of listening. And it is not about mugging up all that what other person said, but really getting what that person intend to say and what is not said, and demonstrate as you respond to that person, either as you speak or through your actions. If that person is asking for the help, then provide that help as part of your response. Now, one small incident I will share, and this was between one of my colleague, and he said she doesn't allow me to speak, and she doesn't listen to me, and he was super angry. And I'll tell you that I was in a dilemma. This being a personal matter, do I need to intrude and say something, but be a good listener? So I continued to listen, and I just asked some questions to listen. I said, "What has happened?" So he narrated all that story, and I realized even in that story, he himself was not listening, and he was complaining about the other person. And after that person was completely uh, toned onto the emotion, there was a question: do you really listen first before you expect other person to listen? And I don't know. That was a very simple question, uh, but the emotions and the overall conversation changed after that. Because many of the times when we want to connect to our people, we believe that okay, other person has to connect to me, but it is kind of a shake hand. And if you're seeing that a good shake hand, you need to raise your hand first, and you will see a different level of experience from the other person. So that's how I relate to this listening. And I felt you may also get into the mode of inquiry and see what are your bias, or how you are helping others to understand their bias. Let us go to the next slide. Yeah, we as a part of leaders, we were talking about what are your interesting experiences, and one this example has happened, and it was very interesting. We were in one interesting meeting, and many of my colleagues were saying that you are not audible, you are not audible, and the other person was little cranky and saying that, oh, am I audible, typing something, and everyone realized that okay, is this a need to get cranky, relax little bit. Then one of my a team member jumped in and said that what is happening, can you tell? Or remove your headphones and use the laptop mic. Now, this might sound little funny, but look at the other person. Other person brought a good headphones, but those were not tuned. And it was an 11th hour experiment uh, she did before we get into a project meeting call. And that all gave a different experience. No doubt, we could recover. Those were some of the momentary time where we realized. And when she thanked that team member, I really felt good because see, there are problems and there are people who are going to solve those problems. This might be very primitive. This might be very primitive. I'll give you another example where somebody is going through an power outage issue and other team member was standing strong and saying that I'll cover you, don't worry. I think on that day I felt the bond which is within this team is amazing. And I think I learned something on that day that if you have to be committed for your colleague, be like him. And I think those were the different experiences, even where really raising our moral as we go through this interesting time. Another aspects I just want to bring in that the communication has to be a lot more as we operate virtually. Because I'll tell one example. If I have to take some project updates which are on the critical path, and if I have to discuss with my team, I may take a 10-15 minutes walk where they are co-located, or I may call them into one meeting room and we can get certain things done. But look at virtually how the dynamics can be managed. Certainly, it will change. You can maybe put some structure, or maybe you can get those people together and discuss hey, how we can really enhance our communication so that we'll be better at it, or what are those new communication modes we can devise so that we will connect to each other and address, be real time, more communication is better, and along with you are transparent in sharing real time updates because things are also changing over month, over quarters. And what I've started doing one by myself, and I'll be confident to share that I started explaining more rational about what I'm saying. Initially, it might sound that okay, he might be explaining more, but over a period of time, that rational was holding all of us together. And even if we have any agreement or disagreement, it was an opportunity to open up, voice out, and together uh, start onto those problems towards solving it. Next slide, please. Yeah. So, as part of Connect, another aspect comes out to be as of care. And this is one interesting discussion, a little bit between husband and wife. Certainly preferred is romantic one. And Rahul says in a little romantic tone that, dear, I really love you, moon and back. I love you more than there are stars in the sky and the fish in the sea. Anjali was happy. Okay, lovely to hear your feelings. Now let's together clean the dishes. You might have spotted that this is after dinner. So Rahul, being an husband and a leader of people, realized expression is equally important. There is no exception for that. Keep expressing. But aspiration is also important, where more important is to solve the problem at hand. And the reason to bring it here is when you are connecting, understand what are the problems at hand and how your connect can ease out, help on that, rather than your conversation or connecting to the moon and the back. So that's the point which I want to bring in as part of a connect. And there are more interesting cases which will come going forward. So next slide, please. Yeah. On this example, you'll see a little flip side of work-life balance as part of when you connect. We also take care of our talent. So it is a conversation between a manager and employee. A little hypothetical just to prove the point. During one-on-one discussion, manager asks, okay, what help you need? And good that they have a connect where employee feels comfortable to share. What is the struggle? That new normal, working from home, long and late working hours. Basically, I need help. And this is a good state to be in. Now remember, if you are a good listener, if you are really helping, what could be your actions? But here is one example just to bring a flip side. Yes, boss is ready to help. And he said, let me nominate you for a training. How to balance? Good to see that help. But same time, I'm afraid that you must say late tonight to attend this talk. Now, the reason to bring this flip side, as we are connecting, we are caring, we are having those conversations, you may see that you are helping, but in reality, it may not be the case. So, understanding that also is equally important. Now, I'll flip to the other side. Maybe as being an husband, I might be feeling that I'm helping my wife, but is that help sufficient in the setup which we are operating? Now, I'll keep my experiences little aside and I'll give you some insights from the survey which was done by a McKinsey and Company around 2020. What it says that mothers are 3 times more likely to be responsible for most of the household labor. And see, look at the support system which was working with you also got impacted. So what it has done, it has increased more work, more responsibility to the working woman. Now, how well you are taking care of your talent, and same time, how well you are taking care of needs at your home. No doubt, there is a need to become better at it. Now, what we can offer so that betterment starts from nursery to school, school to high school to college. So, how you can also mature in providing that help is the point which I want each one of us to take on as we talk about the aspects of connect. Next slide, please. Now, after connect, we are on to the next phase, that is develop. Because initially I talked about connect, develop, and inspire. Now, as part of development, you will certainly appreciate the learning comes at a core. Now, when I was talking to one of my colleagues, he was extremely happy. He said that, Shrikant, I'm happy that I'm almost saving 1 hour 20 minutes one side. That comes out to be a daily 3 hours of saving. And more than the time, I realized it has additional benefits also. That the fatigue which he was going through, traveling from one corner of a city to the other side of the city where our office is located. I was really happy to listen his reflection. Now, as a leader, how you can facilitate that opportunity and create some of the avenues for your team member to understand what they can do with that available time. So in that conversation, I inquired with him, or I asked him, so how are you planning to utilize those 3 hours which you are saving? Those are bonus for you now. So what you want to do with that? And I realized a couple of spontaneous answers from him. So first he said that, okay, I want to be better at my workout, or I want to do my regular walk and run, and as well as will start doing some uh, exercise. So by that I will utilize an hour focus. Good to see that is a primary focus everyone has to keep. Then the next conversation began. What is your thought about utilizing those remaining 2 hours? Then the inquiry began, and then he said, yeah, I wish to develop that skill set. Maybe I should start exploring on that area. Maybe I'll keep 1 hour for my leisure or luxury for the day, and the remaining 1 hour I will focus and dedicate for my learning. The point which I'm bringing here, that as a people manager or as a leaders, we can also create those avenues where we can see the opportunities to learn and apply. Now the time is solved, need is identified, mode is also the member can identify, but where as a leader we can bring difference. Two things where we as a leader can bring the difference. One is specifying what are the expectations. If you want to learn this, how that learning look like when you really apply. What that gamut of learning where that person need to really explore. So give that expectations, give that, say it again, clarify it, define, working with that individual, not a dictatorship. Work with that individual. And another piece, because I said of two things. So the first one is clarifying those. Second piece is define some early win. Because if you define that early win, it will go into a more faster pace than ever you anticipated. And I have a couple of examples within my last year or two where I have seen many team members, they wanted to acquire that skill set for a couple of years, which was not working. And suddenly, in the pandemic time, it started working. That is also another benefit. And we are blessed to see the transformation changing from a classroom setup to an e-learning, virtual, live, or a kind of an different workshops. So we should utilize those more. With that intent, let's go to the next. Yeah, as you develop, you would have realized the small talks which we do in the office. Before I get into that construct, let me share here one incident that I was filling up a water bottle and my colleague asked me that I hear Shrikant you promote changing self than others and why. In response, while filling the water bottle, on a humorous way, I said, "Are you married?" He said, "I got it." And I said, "Hey, it was on a lighter note, nothing to tease you or uh, anything." We filled our bottle. We continued talking. And another perspective which I added as we both were walking from water station to our desk, I said, in an accident-prone situation, you can't control the opposite vehicle, nor the driver, nor you can press the accelerated brake or clutch of that car. What you can do is you can control what is in your sphere of control. So many times, if you're seeing that, if you bring that change for yourself, you can better deal with that. Now that was a very intense and interesting discussion. Happened in very maybe 3 to 5 minutes. Those small talks were a traditional mode where we used to also some personalize and imbibe some learnings. Now in a virtual mode, we are missing those. So I have a two ways approach there. One is if you have some common those small talks, recreate those, maybe refresh those memories. Hey, on that day, you and me we are talking so long on the parking lot, and our interest was on this topic. Or maybe start creating those small talks in a virtual mode, and that creates a better opportunity for you also. Give a small capsule of learning, which builds a better immunity as you develop your talent also. So the point is, you can do many things, but as a leader, I have seen immense power which comes with a small talks. Next slide, please. As part of develop, I take privilege of some of the fitness at the initial when Nihali was introducing. Yeah, I was overweight, and that's where I started shredding some. As I shred, I gain again. So looks like it is a cyclic in nature. But keeping that point little aside, let me bring it here as part of develop. It is analogous to when you develop. It is analogous to developing a muscle building also, where you have to go through that experience of make and break. Now, before I go through this slide, here is another conversation between lovely husband and wife, Anjali and Rahul. Anjali was concerned yet caring, said it to Rahul. Hey Rahul, you are at a computer screen for close to 16 hours a day, not doing morning routine exercise, always stick to your chair and consume coffee after coffee. Might be Rahul might be demanding to Anjali that is coffee ready. She said, I understand your dedication to write blog, but what is your blog and article is about? And he said, health is wealth. Now the point here is what you say and what you do. So when you come to development, we need to also have our good say to do ratio. Maybe what we say to our team members or what help we provide. So that also has to be in sync. Same time, uh, we also need to help them to also build that immunity, which is analogous to build the muscle, where they will also go through that pain when they develop. So you have to be with them. You have to be with them so you can provide that required support and be with them as they develop. Maybe you might be also developing some patience. You might be developing some different skill set as you be with them. See, one of the example which I can take, if you challenge uh, in some of the areas like health goal, or maybe you challenge into certain different areas, the team members will develop a new skate of a skill or a different way of thinking, and you will see that they transfer that thinking to the work. And I have some of the examples where people were thinking that this is something is not doable, but parallelly they took some health goal, and that health goal they were able to exceed, and unknowingly they started thinking that this also is doable for me and let me attempt it. Now you might find it very difficult how these two things are completely correlated. But if someone is completing 25 kilometers trail walk, 50 kilometers trail walk, shredding couple of kgs, doing a daily meditation and exercise, that also brings a shift into your talent when they also develop themselves. This is one interesting one where I was doing a plank and we were celebrating as a team International Yoga Day, and it turned out to be a plank time and fun time. You see my daughter and wife enjoying that picture. So that was one celebration which also we did. It is more to reinforce those aspects which we want to draw and develop ourselves into our technical work and day-to-day work also. So next slide, please. Now from coach, sorry, from connect, develop. Now the third aspect comes out to be inspire. Now if you look at, as you inspire, it is about a vision and a goal. See, many of the time people might not resonate or relate to that vision well. If you want, as an organization, you are making towards an intelligent products. If you are going to pivot your business from a long cycle business to a short term opportunities. So if you are making some interim course corrections or you are coming with that strategy, how well people relate to that. And maybe as a mid layer leaders or maybe a frontline leaders, what you can do, what are those measurable goals, why those are critical for your portfolio, for your people, and how you can help all of them to personalize it. And as you personalize, what are the modes, tools, and the mechanisms which you can use. One example I'll give you, before a pandemic time, you might be calling your team, you might be getting together in one conference room, you may have a post-its, and you might be going through that, okay, how do you really resonate to that vision and the goal, and what we should take out for our portfolio also to really connect with that. People might be putting some thoughts, you might be pasting it onto the board, and maybe you might be getting fulfilled that yes, now I understand vision and the goal in a better sense, where I can fuel my next quarter, next couple of quarters or a year, or maybe a 3 years time span to contribute to that. If that was a in a traditional setup, now how you can do it virtually, where each person becomes accountable as well as equally expressive to contribute. So explore those modes. Maybe there are tools online available. Utilize those more and help your people to personalize. If they personalize that vision and goal, it's like your battle is won. before even they start getting into the battleground. Next slide, please. Total, I have 20 slides, and we are almost remaining with the last three slides, where I'll cover up some remaining portion on the Inspire, and then maybe we will open up for Q&A. Now, as part of Inspire, see, more I understand, I believe, maybe this is an individual view, a lot can be done. And empowerment comes as one aspect. And see, it is not what me, Nihali, Yash, or Sham talking about empowerment. It is about the other person experiencing that empowerment. If imagine a situation as a leader saying that, okay, I'm empowering you and I'm doing all the micromanagement to ensuring that even you have started, where you are going, why this risk is not mitigated. Imagine the experience of the person who is leading the task, maybe the milestone, maybe the project. Do you think that he or she might be feeling that they are really empowered? So, two things which I would like to bring in here. One is about the person whom you want to empower. Are they really feeling that experience of empowered? Because if you empower, rest is they will power the projects or the priorities. And I have seen the positive language brings a better shift, because in the positive language it creates a different experience for your individuals, and maybe as a leaders, or maybe as a people who are working with other people, we need to become better at it. I also take that opportunity where I can also further enhance. And one of my colleague, when I was mentoring mm, him, I asked, whom do you really resonate? And the person, he was talking, what she said, it is always empowering and motivating experience during conversation with him. And the conversation continued. And I asked, okay, what is special about him then? Then the situation, what my mentee narrated, it turned out to be the person whom he or she is admiring is a strong promoter of positive language, so that it occurs as an opportunity to other individual where they also feel empowered to do something. And finally, we both concluded it is not about he or she, it is about power of that positive language. And I think that one small incident also gave a better insights for both of us to really see what really empowerment means and how we can take it forward. You may have many examples. I'll limit because I can share another couple of examples also. But in the interest of time, maybe we'll go to the next slide. See, sometimes a pat on back gives you energy and enthusiasm to go extra mile. And I'm a firm believer, maybe because of the life experiences, I started appreciating more the special moments in our life. And I believe that special moments, celebration shall remain special, and we have the ownership to make it more special. So these are some of the moments where we started celebrating. In interest of policy and the uh, limited picture set, I would just bring few examples, which might be skewing towards the birthdays, because birthdays are special. And what we started doing is, before pandemic, I know you might be getting together into cafeteria, cutting a cake, smear it on the face, going out for a lunch or dinner to celebrate, gift and birthday bumps as a bonus, are normal birthday rituals before pandemic. But our spirit was high. And I'll repeat, our spirit was high. We started celebrating remotely, where one of our good colleague took that leadership that I'll ensure that the cake is reaching at their home, and we all will join on a virtual call, and let us encourage their family also get together and see this one change started building a different bond with all of us, where now we know each other's special moments. We can connect well. And personally, I wait for that birthday where we celebrate. Now, I'll move quickly from birthdays. If someone is completing 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, we celebrate. And we have some special memento collage made for that person. And I'll tell you that we also ask for an hidden talent from that person. And that person may sing a song, may show some hidden talent. And it creates a different aura and experience for all of us. So even for those special moments, now we look forward for it. And I think those are some of the breeze which really helps you to go through all the ups and downs of your demanding work, and same time take a pause and enjoy also. Next, please. So I'm on the last slide, where for last close to 40-45 minutes, I believe I could share some of the conversations which enabled to really see what we as a people can do for our people, maybe in a different capacity, maybe as an individual contributor, maybe as a manager of that people, or maybe as a manager of manager. It is about people and how the conversation happens, and you will see a different series of conversations. That's what this dialogue can help us to collectively elevate. And I'm sure you may have some questions and some takeaways. I will be eager to hear those either in the chat window or maybe some of the comments as we may hand over back to Nihali and team.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shrikant, for interesting session. It was really interesting, like how you actually made our initiative so visible to the audience. Like it was a true dialogue, a true conversation. We could see from the stories which you have explained. Before Q&A, we would be running a poll. So would request all the participants to please provide your valuable feedback on this session. Meanwhile, you can post your question in the chat box. While you are doing so, we would also request to share your email to get the e-certification for attending this session. You just need to mention the session which you have attended along with the dates and your name which you want us to put in the certificate. So we will be waiting for the details. Once we get the email from your side, we will send you the e-certificate for today's session.
Thank you, Krishnan.
Here we have a first question from Hiral. What impact is social isolation having on our business and people? How are our leaders responding?
Hey, wonderful question, Hiral, because I'm sure in the academics or as well as in the experience, you might have studied or felt that we are very social. Moreover, we are curious about how the things are happening around us. But that is the area where it got impacted most. And I'll tell you, it started giving us a feeling that we are missing something. And even it is not clear for most of the people what is that we are missing. So that social isolation started impacting people a lot, because that is not usual phenomena. Even if I'm asked to get locked down for a couple of weeks, and with all the armory and the protection, I'll go out as if I'm diffusing a bomb, is a different experience for all of us. And same time, having that feeling of I'm missing something, and same time an anxiety. Did I took the required precautions? Because not only it will impact me, but it will impact my surrounding. So it was a kind of an emotional turbulence for most of the people. So that's what the impact I understood, or I feel, and we need to understand more also. On a business, you would have heard about the challenges now, because people were not in action, or they were in a limited action because of social distancing, or we were exercising all the caution. So we may not be able to take care of the required demand to produce those goods and the services. And that immediately didn't showed up. But over a period of time, it has created a huge ripple. And now you see some of the commodity materials or some of the products. Maybe you want to develop an kind of electromechanical device, but the material needed for a printed circuit board is not available in the lead time what you anticipate. You have to strive for that material, and that is what the business has seen the impact. Some of the business got boomed also, which are related to the medical healthcare. But if you look at more than the business, that was an urge how I can serve the humanity, how I can take care and help the society so that I can take care. Maybe the oxygen plant producers, and you saw what has happened in India, what has happened globally also. So those are the impact, and how are our leaders responding? I think mm, at least wherever I'm connected in the professionally, I think all the leaders were beyond their speed. Maybe work, maybe the personal priorities. And I'll narrate one example. Like one of the team member was not getting a bed. Look at the way people were exploring, influencing, and providing the support. Or the another example where I mentioned about there was a power outage was a very small example, but look at the way that bonding has turned out. So this is one from a people aspect. From a leadership point of view, how they can take care of their community of people so that they get a least impacted. So what are those business trade-offs? What are those priorities? And how they can be still profitable? Because if those are not profitable, because finally those leaders are answerable for along with people for the profits also. Both may have a P as a common, but still they are answerable for that. So how they can ensure that what trade-offs they can do, maybe from long term to mid term to short term, or what are those opportunities which are generating money for them, and really focusing energy on that and ensuring that we still stay profitable. So making those trade-off and the priorities are the opportunities where leaders play better, and we need to continue to play.
Very nicely explained. Thank you so much. Here we have a next question. Like, how do we know who our potential hires needs to be during this time, needs to be done during these times? How can we identify them?
Let me read that question again so that I understand what
Yeah.
Hinal is interested to know. Do we know who our potential hires need to be during these current times, and how can we identify them? See, how I see uh, on this, more or less, you are hiring for a talent. Uh, so, more or less, the experience will be virtual, because I'll tell you that earlier I used to visit some of the uh, colleges, maybe in Pune, Maharashtra, or some of the regional colleges or premium institutes. Now we started doing those virtually, and I think that is another mode where we can get better at it. But moreover, than the hiring, onboarding could be an opportunity where that person feel that they belong to the team. So hiring, with my limited experience, though there are challenges, but I think we are better equipped. But onboarding, assimilation, where that person want to know who are those remaining 18 team members with whom he or she is working. So assimilation could be the one opportunity where we can do a lot better to ease out that hiring, because hiring, onboarding, then you will develop that talent and continue to retain and nurture is how I see. Hope partially I gave some perspective, Hinal, based on what I understood from the question.
Okay. We have received a lot of questions. I'll take the last question for today, as we are running little bit like we are running out of time. So I'll take the next question. What can a leader do to ensure the health and safety of his workforce during this time?
Yeah. Maybe culturally, or the way now I'm with Eton for last close to 14 and a half. So this year I'll celebrate my 15th work anniversary. Always I have seen that health and safety as the topmost priority. And even if I relate myself when I was in college also, even my family was ensuring that health and safety is a primary importance. So moreover, rather than we as a leaders talking, how we really demonstrate, and if that demonstration is really consistent, maybe I'll narrate one situation. Maybe if someone is going to office, then how you really exercise the screening process, how you ensure that that person is really following, or you have uh, your say to stop certain things which may impact the health and safety of that individual than the project and the outcome. So three things I try to touch. One is certainly we need to continue to promote, embrace that by saying, but more we if we demonstrate, I think that will really enable us to practice more. And third is you as a leader also has a stand where not only you need to exercise and ensure, but in certain cases you need to also put that button and say that okay, this is important. Once we take care, then we'll do this. And I know you become a spotlight a person when you stop certain things, but I think that's where you get an opportunity to exercise how you care and how you demonstrate. Same time, responsible for those business commitments.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for taking out these questions. We have received a few other questions as well. Would request participants to kindly drop your questions to team@hrassociationofindia.com. We will connect with the speakers and we will get back to you through email or the WhatsApp. Thank you so much once again. Thank you so much, Mr. Shrikant, for a great and insightful session. There were many key takeaways like how do we connect, develop, listen, how can we involve in small talks, and how we can inspire. Thank you so much. It was really interesting session. It's been our pleasure to be with you here today. And I'm sure like all our participants have had a lot to learn and take away from today's session.
Hey, thank you for the kind words and the opportunity, Nihali and HRI team. I think thank you to all the listeners for providing this space where I can share. And I keep experimenting this with an urge to learn and moreover to serve the people with whom I'm working. And I get a huge fulfillment as I do that. And I believe in sharing also. So I started sharing some of the small incidents on LinkedIn. So I prefer to stay connected and looking forward to continue this dialogue and the conversation. And I'm sure together we'll be better. And thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much. This session would not have been possible without the Great Manager Institute, where we are privileged to be working with them on this series. To know more about the Great Manager Institute, I would like to welcome Ojas Mishra, Business Development Analyst from Great Manager Institute, to share a few words about GMI.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, thank you so much to the HII team for conducting such a wonderful session to give like-minded leaders a place to come together and, like Mr. Shrikant said, to share and learn from each other's experiences. I think we've all gone through a very tumultuous time in the past year and a half, and it is our shared experiences that really help us stand out. And in the interest of time, I won't be talking a lot, but I think Mr. Shrikant pretty much covered what we believe in here at Great Manager Institute, that a leader's ability to connect, develop, and inspire his or her team is eventually what stands out, right? We often talk about human resource as one aspect and the business performance as one aspect, but I think it was very well highlighted that they can go hand to hand. They do not need to be two separate factors. If you believe in your human resource, if you actually give them the time, you give them the right kind of care and nurture them, they will eventually give you the right kind of business output. And that's effectively what we believe in. We want to nurture the right kind of mindset in leaders. We want to help them. And like Mr. Shrikant said, the Connect, Develop, Inspire framework is such a huge part of that, to help them align. A lot of times we meet leaders who've been doing these things for so many years. It's just that we put them into the right categories and we give them a very structured approach to enhancing their capabilities and helping their teams flourish. Um, so that essentially is about the Great Manager Institute. We have a certification program to help leaders like you develop the right kind of mindset. And for a limited time only, the certification program would be available at a discount of 7,000 rupees. So if anyone is interested, they can connect with me. Nihali, if you could just go to that slide with my contact details, the last slide. I had a lot to say, but Mr. Shrikant had covered pretty much everything, so I wouldn't bore you with it again. But you can connect with us, and we'd love to walk you through what exactly we do here at a Great Manager Institute, how we help you nurture your teams, how we help you excel as a people manager, and why it is important now more than ever to excel as a people manager. It's not just your teams, it is an organization-wide performance that can be enhanced by improving your people management capabilities. And that not only serves for you to become a better personal brand, but also to give back to the team and help them grow. That's what we believe at here at Great Manager Institute. Thank you so much, Mr. Shrikant, for sharing those wonderful experiences and stories. I think those stories and those anecdotes were really wonderful to listen to from a neutral perspective. And we'd love to be creating these spaces for leaders to come together and share and help the community grow together. Thank you so much. Over to you, Nihali.
Thank you so much, Ojas. We regret to inform you that like tomorrow we will not be able to conduct a session which was scheduled with Mr. Amit Sahu. Mr. Amit has some medical emergency, so due to which he will not be able to take the session. However, do join us for our next masterclass session, which will be conducted by Mr. Krishnan Bangalore Sami on November 25th, 2021. I request all of you to please register for this event at the link mentioned in the chat window, or else you can join our Dialogue 2021 WhatsApp chat group through the invite link, which is shared in the chat window. Thank you so much, everyone, once again for joining here today. Thank you, Mr. Shrikant. I'll see you everyone on 25th of November. Thank you.
Thank you, Nihari and team. Bye.
Thanks, Shyam. We can conclude the session.